From 2007 to 2009, America experienced the greatest economic meltdown since the Great Depression, called the Great Recession. Here, the American economy went down the toilet. According to the stateofworkingamericans.org, the American workforce lost around 8.4 million jobs. That's around 6% of the entire workforce. According to Stanford.edu, an estimated 60% of households in the United States experienced declines in wealth. One of the worst impacted areas were the streets of Detroit, where around 1 in 3 people had to foreclose on their houses.
So, the question remains, how did one of the strongest economies in the world fall to a state of emergency so fast?
Subprime loans.
Very true.
Amy Phillips, CFO of Coors Credit Union, experienced firsthand the devastating effects of the crisis as a financial officer of a large community bank.
I would say that it took, to make a crisis that big, in my observation anyway, it took from stem to stern. It took everything from regulations, through the banks, through the securities issuers, through the securities rating agencies, all the way down to the individual borrower. So if we start by talking about the concept of bank, I'm not going to get real dry here, don't worry. No. But it's in the press and in the media, and understandably so, we talk about the banks.
The financial crisis was the perfect storm of economic situations, but there was a strong catalyst from the United States government and large banks.
The Bush administration approved and incentivized banks to give out subprime loans. One might ask, what is a subprime loan? Subprime loan is a loan given out to people who have bad credit, low income, or any other factors that makes them so they should not receive a large loan. Why would banks give out these loans to people knowing that they couldn't pay them back? One word: profit. Banks banked on the fact that the housing market had never gone down. So, by foreclosing on loans, they could actually make a profit by reselling the homes. According to CNN, by 2006, 52% of all loans were subprime loans. When the housing bubble popped, thus went the safe investment in the housing market. The housing bubble bursting was the final crippling blow towards the economy. But as banks continued to give out these toxic subprime loans, people continued to lose faith. The stock market fell and the money flow began to dry up.
While we're on our way to recovery, the economy is always in motion, with bubbles building and popping constantly.
There have been many of these bubbles, so that as more people can buy a house, the price of housing goes up. You're seeing a little bit of this in where we live now, right? Houses going up and up and up. Well, shoot, if I can afford $1 million house, I'm going to get $1 million house. And all of a sudden, the price of houses gets bid up and up and up and up. That's what inflated what they call the bubble. Those kind of asset bubbles have happened going back to the 1600s that we know of.
Big banks closed, the stock market crashed, people lost their jobs, and people stopped spending money. The Great Recession of 2008 was the second greatest economic plunge the United States had ever taken. According to the HuffingtonPost.com, 57% of adults still believe we are in a recession today. How will we ever get out of it? We'll just keep on going. I don't feel like I'm in center frame.
No, you're not. A little bit more. A little bit more. A little bit more. A little bit more. A little bit too far. A little bit more. Other way. Other way. There you go.
It's all being recorded?
Yeah.
All right. Oh my God. We're